And this WWE Network move to Peacock is even worse than a lot of fans initially feared. Now, my network subscription officially lapsed on Wednesday, so now I wait like the rest of you for them to re-upload all the classic content that they had up before. But it could take a while for that to happen, and this week, we found out why that is. We found out why they are projecting that all of this content will not be back up at least until August. According to a story on the Hollywood Reporter website, racist moments from the wrestling franchise's history are quietly being deleted from the archive as the massive programming library gradually transitions from the WWE Network. According to sources familiar with the situation, the NBC Universal-owned streaming service is reviewing all 17,000 hours of WWE content to ensure that it aligns with Peacock's standards and practices. WWE is also being made aware of any edits. And people are already pointing out the fact that you can no longer find the match from WrestleMania 6 between Roddy Piper and Bad News Brown, or the Piper promo that came before it. That's all gone now, because that was the match where Piper painted half his body black. He was half white, half black. Vince McMahon dropping the slang version of the N-word at Survivor Series in 2005 in that backstage segment with John Cena. Gone. Because the pay-per-views are already up on the network, so you can go and you can see certain things that are no longer there. Those seem to be the two main things people have pointed out so far. Now, for the record, both of those segments sucked. The match sucked. Painting himself half black was incredibly stupid. And the Vince McMahon segment was also stupid. If you got a chuckle out of it, good for you. I thought it was stupid. Now, that being said, I don't believe for a second that this is going to be limited only to racist stuff. If they were saying, well, there's a few really egregiously racist moments that we want to delete from the network, whatever. Fine. But you know it's not going to be limited only to racist stuff. If they're scanning through 17,000 hours of content to make sure that it aligns with their standards and practices, two words that should just send a shiver down everybody's spine, then I'm not sure what's going to be left. The 80s were full of offensive promos and gimmicks. The Attitude Era, I mean, you may as well not even put it up. Those episodes of Raw are going to end up being 6 minutes long. I mean, this is ridiculous. Just throw up a disclaimer. Is it really that hard? Throw up a lot of other services do this. Throw up a disclaimer that makes it very clear that it may contain content that some viewers may find offensive or may find objectionable. Peacock in no way endorses it, but is presenting it in its original form to allow viewers the choice to watch it in its entirety or something to that effect. Believe me, there are a lot of segments that this company has produced over the years that were done in very poor taste. But it's a slippery slope. You delete one thing, how do you not delete it all? How do you differentiate from one to the other in terms of what's more offensive or less offensive? I find it very amusing that Peacock paid $1 billion for the network. And I know that the real priority for them is the live pay-per-views and the documentaries and a lot of the current stuff. That's the real reason. They didn't spend $1 billion for, In Your House from 1995. It just sort of came with the package. I get that. But in totality, the tape library is very significant. You've got thousands of hours of classic content, not just from WWE, but all these other promotions as well. It's a very valuable asset. And I find it very amusing that Peacock paid $1 billion for this, but didn't bother to do any kind of inventory of those 17,000 hours before the deal was done. In fact, I saw them put out job postings this week, or postings for interns. They're looking for interns that they could hire to help comb through the entire library. So this is who is going to be reviewing this, or at least helping in the review process. You would think they would have already been prepared for this. But it just goes to show you how hastily this deal was put together, because they just wanted to get this done in time for WrestleMania. So they had to close quickly on this deal. And now all of this stuff that should have at least started this process weeks ago. they're now first doing it now. But this is the sad reality of what happens when you sell your content to the highest bidder. Peacock spent $1 billion on this. They're free to do as they please. They now own this, I think, for 5 years? For the next 5 years, they own this. They're in control of this content now. So they are free to do whatever they want. I don't even necessarily blame them. It's just a sad reality that ultimately the fans are the ones who get screwed. Some quick AEW and Impact news and notes here. John Silver was injured on Wednesday night during the Dynamite main event. He challenged Darby Allin for the TNT Championship. They had a very good match. In the course of the match, he clearly injured his arm or his shoulder on a spot outside the ring. And there was an initial fear that he may have separated his shoulder, which if that were the case, that's the same injury that kept Karrion Kross out for a few months. Danny Burch over on NXT just suffered that type of injury. But we have an update now. John Silver tweeted on Friday that he is going to be out for 4 to 6 weeks after suffering a shoulder injury. But it will not require surgery and there is no major damage. So that is good news. That is very good news. Because it definitely, you could tell just by watching and the fact that he kept favoring it, it looked more than just selling. Clearly there was something wrong and there was a lot of fear initially. 4 to 6 weeks out without any kind of surgery or anything. He can still do skits and stuff on Being the Elite. He can do backstage segments on Dynamite. He may not even miss a week. So that's very good news. Now, AEW is going to be running its first ever non-televised house show on April 9th, Friday, April 9th from Daly's Place in Jacksonville. That is the day before night 1 of WrestleMania. So it is no coincidence that they are doing this on that particular night. They have people flying in to Florida for Mania. And I wonder, though, if this has more to do. So I was wondering, why would they be, beyond the fact that they know people are going to be in town for WrestleMania, is there another reason why they might be doing this and positioning it on that Friday night? And I wonder if it has more to do with Tony Khan wanting to prevent some of his talent from working any of the independent shows that might be taking place either that night or that weekend. Kind of give them a payday to stop them from working somewhere else where the COVID protocols, if there are any, may not be as strong. Because they have had situations in the past, that thing, the Collective and GCW and other events that guys have worked who then fly into Jacksonville. They get tested and they get, the news that either they tested positive or they find out they were around somebody at those shows who later tested positive. And so as a precaution, right, that they have to scramble and rebook certain matches on the show and they're kept off of Dynamite. And I wonder if this is just Tony Khan's way of trying to cut down on that and say, look, we'll give you guys a payday. You come work for us. We'll do this live event at Daly's Place. And you don't have to work those other shows. Because if it is, I think that's smart. I think that's a smart play by Tony Khan if that's what's going on here. And Impact Wrestling is changing nights on Access TV. They are moving from Tuesdays back to their old stomping grounds on Thursdays. And you know what that means. I haven't done this in a few years, but it is time once again to recap all of the different time slot changes over the years for Impact Wrestling, going all the way back to the Spike TV era, right on through Pop TV, Destination America, the Pursuit Channel, and now Access TV. The show has moved from Saturdays, which is where it originated on Spike, to Thursdays, then to Mondays, where they got crushed. So then they crawled back to Thursdays, then Fridays, then over to Wednesdays, back again to Thursdays, returning to Fridays, then to Tuesdays, and now back once again to Thursdays. This show has more moves than a fugitive on the run. Thursdays seems to be their night. They keep coming back to Thursdays. That seems to be their go-to night. But this is happening because of the impending NXT move to Tuesdays, which is going to be starting, the belief anyway, is that it's going to be starting after WrestleMania. WWE has not made any official announcement about this yet, nor has USA Network. I would die laughing if USA ended up keeping NXT on Wednesdays and Impact moved for move for nothing. Oh my God, I would die laughing. So anyway, Impact, starting April 8th, coming back to Thursday nights, for those who are keeping score.